A shriek in the distance, a low rumble coming from your closet, and a host of other ways your ears can terrify you. On this episode of Creating Fear 101. Hello and welcome back to Creating Fear 101. It's been a minute. This episode we're going to go down the rabbit hole of wonders that is audio. Jason, we did an episode on sound before. Not quite like this. In the subsequent years, there have been more and more films that focus on the sound of things that are scary, rather than the image. This concept brought into the forefront of 2023's horror culture with a little movie called Skinamarink. This movie is the epitome of atmospheric horror. The film plays on one of our root fears, being alone in the dark. But how can silence be scary? I'll show you. I'm sorry. Come on. That was just 30 seconds of silence. Or so it would seem. As your ears adjusted to not hearing me talk or focusing on the light that was on my face, things started to bleed in from the background. Little subtle noises that, while I'm talking, you can't hear, but while I'm silent, are deafening. So I know what you're thinking. We're here to talk about sound, and we start with silence. Silence is by far the most disturbing sound of all, because the absence of sound allows other sensations, emotions, thoughts to manifest themselves that would otherwise be quieted by the noise of our lives. I mentioned the movie Skinamarink before. Now, there's a whole lot going on in that movie. Themes of childhood trauma, abduction, lots of heavy concepts. But the way the movie is shot is from a child's perspective. And we all remember having to leave our bedrooms in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, or to go find your mom, or to go investigate that sound in the living room. We all remember that fear. Now, this is not a new concept. There have been atmospherics in movies for decades. Back in the formative years of horror cinema, having a great soundtrack and great audio effects separated the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. Who could forget the iconic theme from Halloween? Or Jason Voorhees' moniker. And we all know this one. But that's just music. Those are things we know, things we understand. Just because they're associated with something terrifying doesn't necessarily make them scary on their own. Examples of sound being used to strike fear into the heart of someone can be found in our own backyard. I'm talking about sounds that are diegetic, in-world sounds. And they can be just about anything, like somebody brushing their teeth. Or the shower getting turned on. Or the impending nag of a microwave counting down. And the sound doesn't have to be outwardly scary. It could be jackhammering. It could be the sound of people chewing. There's actually a condition called misophonia that is an aversion to the sound of people chewing. This can be so bad in some people that it triggers an anxiety response, almost fight or flight. Yeah, I'm not going to do that to you. I may talk about monsters and madmen, but I certainly am not one. It could be Baby Shark over and over and over and over. There are examples throughout history of sound being used to scare you. And I have a really cool example right here. This, my friends, is a little product from a company called Archaeology. And it has a lot to do with this episode. In fact, it's the inspiration. So you can see we've got some literature from the company. And ta-da, ladies and gentlemen, the Aztec Death Whistle. Anyone who does any research on the internet knows the origin story of this particular piece of ceramic that I have in my hand. These little guys were given to Aztec warriors. And before battle, 10,000 Aztec soldiers would blow into them like this. Could you imagine hearing that coming from 10,000 people with those Aztec whistles? And the worst part is, you could hear it, but you can't see where it's coming from. You see, your ears mean everything to you. Your ears give you a picture of the world around you that your eyes can't see. They allow you to perceive your environment in a way that just looking at something can't do. As we experience the world around us, we use all 5 of our senses. But when we're watching a great horror movie, we're only really using 2. And the best horror directors on the planet know exactly how to play one off the other. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Creating Fear 101. If you'd like to suggest an episode, leave it in the comments. Give me a like, and if you dig what you see around here, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Sleep tight.